Well, hello again everybody. As you might have seen earlier, the Mutt needs a new battery and one has now arrived, so it's time to fit it. It's a pretty simple job this, but as I always say, these are not really meant to be tutorials. They're just vlogs for your entertainment as you follow me trying to embark on my motorcycling career. If you've any doubts about doing work on your own bike, you should really take it to a trained and qualified mechanic. Anyway, first thing I want to do is take this side panel off. It's a side panel on the right hand side and it just pulls out the two fixings here and lifts off the little lug at the bottom. Now you can perhaps see this is the bike's original wiring, and there's this addition here which is my USB socket. But anyway, I'm going to disconnect the battery exactly the same way as I would a car battery. Negative terminal first, and they should come off just with a 10mm spanner. Keep the little nut somewhere safe. Now you might notice that on my bike the battery is held in with these elastic cords, and the reason for that is that the battery retaining strap was snapped really from new. I think the first time I took the cover off I found that it was snapped, so I improvised this and it's been fine for 2 years. I did try and buy a replacement strap, but it didn't fit, it wasn't quite the right one. I've got another one that I ordered with the battery, so fingers crossed we may not have to replace this arrangement, but for now I'm going to take it off and keep hold of it just in case. Now I should be able to just slide the battery out. Well, there we go, there's my new battery. It's the Moto battery, which is recommended on a lot of the Mutt Facebook groups and such. Looks like it's a little bit taller than my old battery, so I hope it does fit. It's also got 4 terminals on the top, so you can presumably mount it either way around if you have to. It doesn't got the block terminals like the other one, so I've got to pop the little cap out and screw straight into the sort of recessed bit, if that makes any sense. Oh, did you see that? It's actually got little spacers on the bottom, I didn't realise that. Ah, so right, see, it didn't come with any instructions, and in the spacers at the bottom, I'm learning this as I go along, so I won't need them probably. There are little screw-in terminals, so that's handy. I can screw those onto the terminals I'm going to use, and yeah, that should make things a bit easier. Let's do that first. So I'm going to need to use the terminals this side, aren't I? So let's pop that cap out if I can, and then we've got our little terminals in here, little hexagon key, so they can go on. I'll put those on like that, do you reckon? I reckon so. I reckon they go like that. Perfect, and then we've got these little bolts to use for our connections, and that's threaded, that hole in there, so that does make sense. Right, brilliant, let's get it on the bike. Right, let's see if it fits in. Perfect. Now, does our new strap fit? Also perfect. Brilliant. Right, now let's connect it up again. Remembering to connect positive first, then the earth, or the negative terminal last. This cover won't completely go over because of my wiring for the USB connector. Right, so I've got this. If I need to do anything by the roadside, I'm going to add it to the little toolkit that's in the compartment underneath the battery. And now I'm going to pop the side cover back on. Let's make sure that's nice and secure. The back fitting never seems quite positive enough to me. Right, now the moment of truth. Will it start? Wasn't that convincing for a new battery, was it? Let's try once more. Well, maybe that new battery wasn't fully charged. I thought all new batteries did come fully charged, but maybe that one didn't. Anyway, we'll need to give it a bit of a run perhaps, and yeah, I'll let you know how I get on if that battery has solved the problem. Well, it's a few days later, and unfortunately that situation has not improved. I've been riding the bike backwards and forwards to work, and I've had to keep push starting it just to get it going. I really shouldn't have jumped straight in and replaced the battery. I just heard so many stories and read so much online about how poor the OEM batteries are that come with the bike, and how people have to replace them almost straight away. And I was quite impressed that mine had lasted 2 years. So I was really expecting to have to replace the battery, and the fact that the bike started to refuse to start really just reinforced that idea in my mind that I would have to replace the battery. So what I've done is I have put a meter across the battery that I took off, and that's reading about 12.5 volts. So the original battery may well have been fine, the problem might have been elsewhere. So my next thought was to check what happened when you operated the starter to the battery voltage. So let's have a bit of a look at that. So there you go, hope you caught that. It was a sort of a resting voltage with nothing turned on of about 12.5 volt. Then operating the starter, it dropped down really to as low as about 9.1, which seems a little low. I'd expect it to drop a little bit perhaps, but yeah, 9.1 seems a little low. I don't know what you think. Drop me a comment and let me know. And then once the engine was running, because it did actually start on that occasion, albeit slightly reluctantly, it was up and charging at about 13.5 volts, which seems perfect to me. So that I don't think there's anything wrong with the charging system. So there you go. It may have been better to measure that voltage as the drop across the starter motor itself rather than the battery, but that requires rather too many hands because you have to hold the clutch in, operate the starter and hold the meter onto the starter motor. And it was quite late at night when I was doing this out in the garage in the dark. So yeah, I didn't quite have sufficient motivation to do that. I'm wondering if it might be a bad earth somewhere that I could track down and find, but because time is short for me at the moment and I really want to get this fixed, I have gone ahead and ordered a new starter motor. I think it's about £34 from a supplier on eBay I found. So I'm waiting for that to arrive. I'm hoping that that will cure the problem. And yeah, we'll update you when that comes through the post.